I'm Gene Grant here at the table with this week's Line Opinion panelists. The State Public Regulation Commission filed a lawsuit against the Santa Fe New Mexican to block publication of some information that was released to a reporter, Steve Terrell, in a public records request. And PNM was also seeking to join that case to block the release of the contract details for the San Juan Generating Station, but the PRC withdrew the lawsuit this week, Laura Sanchez, and it seemed to me, and seemed to anybody who wasn't even a lawyer, there were First Amendment issues here all over the place that this suit was kind of nutty. And what happened there? Why, in your supposition, why did they withdraw that suit?
Well, so they voted, the commission itself, 3 of the members voted to withdraw. That doesn't necessarily mean that the case itself dropped. I think it was still moving forward, hearing as of the taping of the show. The issue is that they released this information, which had been under a confidentiality agreement. So anything that gets filed in these cases, some of them is termed confidential, some of it is not. Now the issue here was a stock purchase agreement, as well as a coal supply agreement. So this is all related to the coal supply, the fuel to actually power San Juan Generating Station. PNM had been under an order to actually provide these publicly, so they weren't going to be filed confidentially. They filed a motion for reconsideration when they actually did file these contracts with the commission back in by July 1st. And as part of that motion for reconsideration, they asked that it be treated confidentially, and the PRC agreed.
Right.
So that's the issue, is that the PRC, the hearing examiner agreed to treat this confidentially, and it was supposed to be treated confidentially. There was a request made under IPRA, the Information Public Records Act request, made to the PRC by Steve Terrell of the New Mexican, and in being responsive, they gave these 2 agreements over. And so that's the issue that came up. Now, I think much of the dysfunction here is that the decision to move forward with a lawsuit, essentially a restraining order against the New Mexican to publish these things, didn't seem to reach the level of the commissioners.
That's right.
And anything that gets, where the commission is involved in litigation is supposed to be, before the commissioners. They're supposed to consider this. It appears that the chief of staff or somebody at some level, of course the buck stops with the chief of staff, made the decision to move forward with this lawsuit, and the commissioners pulled the reins back and said, no, we just can't do this. This doesn't make sense. There's a lot of issues. We're not likely to win. And so that's what happened as of Wednesday, is they decided to pull that back. Now, the hearing was supposed to continue, and PNM and all the other companies certainly had an interest in trying to keep that those contracts confidential still.
Understandable.
But Steve Terrell published a story and linked those 2 agreements on the website, and so they've been public at this point. So the issue of how much are how much is a stock purchase agreement, how much are they purchasing that for, is already public.
That's right. There's no stopping Steve Terrell, by the way. That's the lesson here. There's no stopping this man. Janice, the quotes from some of the PRC commissioners are unbelievable at this point. Wow. Or maybe they're quite believable. I should back up a little bit. Yeah.
I would say, well, I could not substantiate a place where the commission had voted to actually file this suit.
Right.
That in of itself is problematic. However, as a staff member for any agency, if you have promised any entity that the information is confidential, you are absolutely stupid if you think you can give it to the media and they're going to give it back to you. That isn't, if you don't understand that basic rule, I don't know what to say. Can you say incompetent? And the fallout of this is businesses cannot trust the PRC. What this says is if you give them sensitive information, the PRC cannot be trusted to deal with it.
That's a big deal. Expand on that a little bit, because that's a fairly heavy charge. Not saying you're wrong, but there's a lot of implications there.
Absolutely, and business doesn't mind playing by the rules.
Sure.
If they know that it is open, they're going to present it as if it is open, but if it is truly confidential or sensitive, and the agency says we will treat it as such, and then you give it to the news media.
That's right.
Why would Google want to come back if they had sensitive information?
I
mean, that's where we are.
That's a fair point. Go ahead and follow up on that.
That ties right back to that. I'm right on. As a business owner, I have participated in RFPs and so forth. And all of my pricing is out there.
Right.
All of my specific trade secrets in green marketing.
Sure.
And then boom, it's out there for everyone to see. Right. If there was an understanding that it was confidential, right, and an agreement, it should be. But the big question is, what's confidential and what's not confidential. I think that's what's on the table here.
Right. Yes.
But it was deemed as confidential, and the fact that it got in the hands of the media, there's sorry, now it's on Just go, it's up on their website.
That's right. Tom, it's interesting when you think about, a lot of folks are for transparency. It's not a bad word in our state right now. But is there a line of transparency? Should some things remain confidential during that negotiating stage, or?
Yeah, well, so there's a double standard,
Right.
And there's a clear double standard, and by means of disclosure, we do have clients who have interests in this particular case. It's a double standard because you have an issue of transparency.
Right.
You have some, information that might have been made available through California,
Right.
okay, through a case there. But it's really the information was provided to the PRC with the expectation that it would remain confidential, and that expectation has been violated. And so, what do you do at that point? And so, as has been very well stated here at the table, you're going to have folks who, reporters who are not going to give it back. Now, does it constitute the Pentagon Papers, as the Albuquerque Journal would have us to believe? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That was that's just absurd.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take a look at it. Was the information, could you get it through other means? Yes, absolutely. It was confidential for this specific proceeding, and I think, to Janice's point, this sends a huge message to corporate America who might want to do business here to say, you know what? Maybe we ought to think about someplace else that takes this kind of stuff very seriously.
Or maybe we'll go the other way. There's some precedent in other states that nothing's confidential practically.
Right.
So,
Well, and in this particular case, the issue was these fuel contracts. It was coal in
Right.
particular. And there is some precedent in other states, like Kentucky, for example, that's a big coal state, where they have decided since 1997 that contracts like these that involve the purchase of coal and so forth are public. And
Right.
there's been litigation about that. It's been established. So not every state treats it this way. In this case, again, initially the hearing examiner had said that this was supposed to be public. There was a motion for reconsideration, and the parties involved in this case some of them had argued that it should still be public. It should be, the public has a right to know, since these fuel contracts will affect rates potentially, for many years moving forward, that they have a right to know. And so there is some question underlying about whether this should be public. It isn't the Pentagon Papers, but ultimately I think the PRC is left looking really bad in this situation.
Up next, why the new superintendent of APS is getting negative attention for text messages he mistakenly sent to an APS employee.